Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathan Skinner and today we're looking at the weather equipment items for the MGA Roadster models. Now when I refer to weather equipment items, I'm referring to the soft top convertible hood, or hood as us Brits call it, which I'll just refer to going forward in this video. Then we've got the tonneau cover, which I've got two examples of, which I'll go into more depth on. And then we've got the side screen storage bag. Strictly speaking, that's an interior trim item, but because it carries the side screens in it, I've included it in this video because you may wish to consider getting it at the same time. But strictly speaking, it's an interior trim item. It's been made out of interior vinyl as opposed to the hooding PVC vinyl. Now, this specific video is detailing Mohair canvas for a hood and tonneau cover. And then the alternative one there is also a Mohair canvas. And then this is vinyl here. Now, from the factory, the hood and tonneaus were normally PVC Everflex, which is effectively a waterproof vinyl with a membrane in them, but we can upgrade to Mohair if you want, as per this video, but of course we can offer the PVC Everflex as well. Do see our materials and colours library for that, because there are several options on there, including the colours and whatnot, so just bear that in mind. It's also worth noting that the backing colours of Mohair and PVC Everflex are sometimes very restrictive and sometimes they do have a couple of options, so again, let us know if you have any particular preference and we can let you know what's available. But these items here have been done in beige mohair. Mohair being a very premium hooding material, so it's effectively a cloth material. And this has been done in what we refer to as beige, which is kind of like a, I guess almost a magnolia-ish colour. It's like a cream colour. And then this one here has been done in red with a black backing, whereas the beige has a beige backing. This has been done in parchment vinyl. Like I say, parchment and the vinyl are both interior trim colours. These are actually all going in the same car. You can see that it's not far off in terms of the match between those colours there, considering they're completely different materials. Quite good. So these are actually from the same kit. Customer's gone for a full kit. It's going over to Australia. Yeah, so that's that. This one here is red, and it's going in with a red interior kit as well. So like I say, Mohair canvas for these items here, but we can also offer in PVC Everflex if you want. Now, all of these items here, there are variants from the factory in terms of their options. So dependent on what month, year and chassis number of your car, there were different options available. We can offer all of them. I have a couple of the options on display here, but not all of them. So do check out the video at the end of the other linked videos at the end of this video, as there will be videos showing the different options that we can offer on that one, but I will mention them as I go through on this video as well. Let's start at the front of the CNC with this soft top hood, or hood as I will now refer to it. So it's obviously a hood as per in this book here. This one here is clearly showing a PVC Everflex version here. So it's obviously all fully sewn and ready to be fitted. This specific version has three windows. So you've got the two quarter windows, then you have the main rear window there. That is by far and away the most commonly seen variant on the MGA Roadsters. However, the early cars did feature one window option, so they didn't have the rear quarter windows. Presumably they realised how hard it was to actually see out the back, and so they added the side windows on that. So we can offer the single window version if you want, and I'm sure I've done a video showing that, but this is the far more commonly seen three window option. Now it's worth noting at this stage, we can also offer a zip out rear window if you want. Wasn't original for the cars at all. But it's a nice option because it means you can zip out and it flaps down, and it means you can get a nice bit of airflow through the car, so it can be a nice touch. We don't offer that as standard. It is an optional upgrade, so do let us know if that's of interest to you, and we can talk to you about the costing on that side of things. Aside from that, obviously the cover is fully sewn. It's edged all around the outside, or bound as we refer to it with the binding, apart from on the front edge there, because that gets wrapped around the header rail. You can just make out a faint line there, and that's basically giving you the guide of roughly how much is not lost. You know what I mean. It's wrapped around the header rail, and some of it will be trimmed back. To get a nice finish on the corners can be a bit messy. You need to do what we refer to as the E trimming method to get around the corner, so you get a nice fold going round. Then that is normally covered up by the hide-em and hide-em ends, which I'll get to in a second there. Now, obviously, some other features of the soft top itself. Obviously, it has the seams going down down either side there, and they are obviously done so that it allows the water to drip down off the hood effectively. So you get seams on both sides there, and then a seam above the rear window and a seam carrying on there, and then reinforcement elements down at the side there. Over the side windows and B posts, you have these sort of gutter window protector channels that basically go just inside there, and that's where the kind of window slots up in. And that's, I'd say, one of the most crucial parts during the fitment process, is to always double check and triple check as you're trimming and fitting the hood to make sure that everything is aligning around the B post. That's always going to be the area that doesn't quite line up. And also, it's worth bearing in mind, you know, these cars were made in the 50s and 60s, so it's not like a modern day car where everything is pretty much millimetre perfect. These cars were not, so if you're expecting everything to perfectly line up, then unfortunately you're going to be probably a bit disappointed with classic cars. So bear that in mind. But obviously our patterns are tried and tested. We know that they work as best as they should work on cars of this era. So that's the sort of side gutter trims there. You have this element here, which I don't think it's original. I think it's something that my father started offering in the 90s when we were working with a very specific MGA restorer, a very well-known one, who was sort of saying that it's nice to have something on the window front area there, which allowed for an element of the sort of wind protection and water from draining off. So I think he included that as a kind of added extra bonus. So yeah, just bear that in mind. I don't think you necessarily need that piece there. Now, with regard to fixings and hide-ems, should have brought the book with me. You get this hide-em strip here. Hide-em is literally kind of in the name. It's used to hide tacks and things like that. So that is used on the very front header rail. You put the tacks in there, then you crunch it up and it hides them. And then the ends of the hide-em are covered by these little, I refer to them as shields, as they look like little shields that go around the corner there. Let me get back to the book that I should have brought with me. So we're referring to, you can just about make out the hide-em end there, but it goes across the header rail from left to right on the car there. Now, just to give you a bit of a glimpse on the underside, obviously it has a beige backing to it. Let me do the back part here. And then on all the cross seams going across, reinforced. Same around the perimeter, you get all of these reinforced elements here which help keep the rigidity in the car. You get these little cutaways here because I believe a bar slots across, which then pegs underneath the underneath and gets fitted on the rear deck section of the car. Yeah, there you go, you can see the little eyelets there. Yeah, just there. So that's for that there, but the rest of it is reinforced, some of which gets obviously fixings going around them and whatnot. And then on the inside as well, I believe, okay, get that down, it's quite hard to do one-handed, apologies. Along this part here, you often got these little fixings that went into one of the hood bows that go from left to right on there. Now, it's worth noting that the MGA, unlike many cars of this era, did not use webbing, so you don't need any webbing for it. So bear that in mind. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. With regard to the fixings, we do include the fixings, so you get a couple of different versions. You had the sort of the turn button one there at the bottom of the B post, and then these are all lift the dots. We include them, but loose. We do not pre-install them. The installation on them should be done during the fitment to the car, and that's a very crucial part. People sometimes assume plug and play, and by that I mean they assume one, the soft top or the tonneau will just literally fit straight away to the size of your car. That's not strictly true. They're meant to be tight like a drum when they're done, and therefore you'll find that you often have to apply a decent amount of tension in between the fixings to make sure that it gets the correct fitment. So it's definitely worth contacting us at that point to make sure you get the correct methodology on that one, because we've seen some absolute horror stories, unfortunately, over the years, where people have potentially got their old hood or tonneau and just laid it over the top of the new one and put fixings all in the exact same places. Doesn't work like that at all. Obviously, you're not normally dominated by the fixing positions on your car, but then you have to think about the tension in between the fixings going round, and it comes back to what I said about the crucial points on the B-posts and side window sections, where you want to make sure that this area here is really in position. And so that means often when you're putting the fixings going around there, you want to be pulling and stretching before you put the next fixing in, matching up, making sure it's still looking like it's going to match up in the same way that it should do, and then either easing or putting more tension on into the next fixing, and so on. So it is a bit of an organic process, that, so just bear that in mind. But rest assured, our parts are tried and tested. We've used the same templates for decades now, to very good effect. So I've got the reputation in the industry that we have for quality and workmanship. So be sure to contact us at the point of fitting if you're unsure on anything. So I think that covers the soft top side of things. Let's move on to the tonneaus. Now, the tonneau covers had 3 versions according to our record. 2 of them are here, and the other one I can talk you through. You basically had what we refer to as the short version, which is here. Then you had the long version, which is there. They're by far and away the most commonly seen on the cars, either of those 2. You then had what we refer to as the very short version, we kind of refer to it as the rare USA short version, because it only seemed to be for cars going to the USA, although we have seen a couple others around the world, so don't take that as gospel. But basically, let's start with the short version, because it does actually reference it in this book, which is handy. Here we go. So the short version, which is this red Mohair one here, seemed to be the crossover between the sort of rare short and this version of short, the commonly seen short, was around sort of late 58, early 59. But we always just say, just tell us where your fixings are on your car, and that's what dominates it. So the short version here is exactly like this version here, where basically the fixings at the back are on the bodywork. There we are, perfect. You can see the fixings all along the bodywork there, just literally behind where the capping ends. So that's the short version there. The rare short version, or the US short version, the fixings are actually in the woodwork of the capping. So it's, I guess, an inch or so shorter. It did have some other small details that were slightly different as well, but essentially that's the main difference between the very rare short version and the normal short version, is the position of the fixings here. Like I say, the commonly seen short version, which is like this red one here, is situated with fixings just on the rear bodywork behind the tonneau capping. The long version, which is this one here, is by default longer, and quite considerably. You can actually see it quite clearly in that shot there. But basically the fixings on that one are pretty much in line with where the soft top goes in the car. I don't think there are any pictures showing that in this book, unfortunately. But yeah, they would effectively share the same fixings positions as the soft top. So they're much further back on the rear deck, you know, all the way that distance back on the rear deck. So that is the long version there. Now, they did have some other subtle differences. You can see the front corners there are different. Also the pockets for the steering wheel. These are both right-hand drives. They both do have pockets, but the kind of short version had a much shallower, almost dart-like pockets on them, whereas the long version had a bit more of a standardized actual pocket for the steering wheel there. So that's kind of the overview of the 2/3 different options of the tonneau covers there. So do let us know which one you prefer, but it is ultimately completely dominated by where the male fixings are on your tonneau, rather on your car. These are both right-hand drives. Obviously one's beige, one's red. The overall concept of them is made exactly the same. So you get the pre-tone cover bound all the way round, has the support element going all the way around on the underside, which allows you to put the fixings in, keeping the same strength and rigidity. It obviously gets the zip down the middle of it. It's actually, I don't think, down the direct middle of it. It's slightly offset to allow a bit more room for the driver, I believe, but it's minimal. So the zipper down the middle of it. Then you also get, on the long version, these metal plates sewn in. They come with the actual metal plate in them, and they are for putting underneath the sort of eyelet element of things, very much akin to the bar that goes there on the hood, but unlike that one where you don't get the actual bar, you reuse your original one. This one here actually does have the little metal bits in it to pop underneath there. The short version doesn't need those because it's fixed in a completely different way. We do supply the fixings for them. Again, same principle as the soft top hood. We do not pre-install them, and again, it's a case of making sure that you stretch your ease in between the fixings and constantly check. We basically recommend that you almost start sort of dead center, getting a fixing, securing it and anchoring it at the front and the back, and then work one to the right, one to the left, another one to the right, another one to the left, all the way around effectively. But in between each fixing, effectively, you might be stretching it, you might be easing it, and you're kind of dummy testing the fit all the way around in between each fixing, so you know from fixing to fixing whether you need to ease or apply tension to get the best fit. And that will mean basically it will reduce the amount of sort of wrinkles and creases that you might get, but ultimately it will make sure that you have a tonneau cover that is as tight as a drum, and that's what you want. Again, we see some, should we say, interesting variants of trimming of these things, so it is best to take your time with it and realize that it is a very organic process in terms of that. But that's effectively the tonneau covers. So yeah, the steering wheel pocket, zipper down the middle, reinforcements around the perimeter to allow for the fixings. Obviously the plates on the long version there, fixings are supplied but loose. Female fixings are supplied, the male ones are not. So I think that's the tonneau cover. Then finally you got the side screen storage bag. Again, there are two versions of this, and do see the link at the end of this video for the differences in those ones. But I believe I have a photo. There we go, perfect. So this is this version here, which is by far and away the most commonly seen version, but there is another version as well which has kind of this whole area here. Sorry, the camera's not focusing in particularly well there, but it has different areas here. But just see the video at the end of it. They're both always made in interior materials, so either leathercloth or vinyl. This one's been made in vinyl, which again is the most commonly seen version. They do come with fixings, although this one I failed to put the fixings out, but again, see the other video. And they have a popper there for the pocket, and then it's a two-part pocket, obviously, for the two different side screens in them. It's all sewn, glued, reinforced, etc. They're bound all the way around apart from on that top edge there, because the top edge gets attached to the rear capping section as it's installed into the car. Again, the other video detailing the two different versions, I actually include an original version in that one, so you can see exactly how that goes with the rear tonneau capping, so bear that in mind. But yeah, this is the vinyl version, like reinforced on the back there with the pockets and side elements. Yeah, so that's the other option you may wish to consider. Now, the only other thing you really need to think about if you're thinking weather equipment is, of course, the actual side screens themselves. Now, unfortunately, we don't get involved in actually retrimming those, not as yet anyway. Might be something we get into in the future, but certainly not at the moment. But of course, we can supply matching raw material so that you can get this done locally. So of course, let us know if you want us to do that. Apart from that, I think I've covered my bases. Tried to keep it under 20 minutes, which I'm about 30 seconds away from. So let's wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to check out the videos at the end of this one for other MGA Roadster related restoration kits. And of course, any questions, either ask in the comments below or ideally contact me directly. I look forward to hearing from you. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.